Welcome to today's video lecture on Fred Korematsu.
Fred was born on January 30th, 1919 in Oakland, California.
He was the third son of a Japanese couple who ran a floral nursery business.
He attended Castlemont High School, where most of his friends were white, including his girlfriend. Korematsu describes his experience. Being born in this country, I learned about American history, and this is my country. I just thought of myself as American. After graduating high school in 1938, he went to the Master's School of Welding and worked at the Oakland docks as a steel welder. He quickly worked his way up to a foreman position. One day, he found a notice to report to the union office, where he was fired because of his Japanese ancestry.
On February 19, 1942, President Franklin Roosevelt authorized the evacuation of everyone who was deemed a threat to national security on the West Coast to relocation centers in Executive Order 9066. In the following 6 months, 100,000 people of Japanese ancestry were moved to assembly centers further inland and then moved into internment camps. Korematsu defied this order and tried to continue his life as an American citizen. He underwent plastic surgery to try to make his eyes look less Japanese, and even changed his name to Clyde Sarah, telling people he was a mix of Spanish and Hawaiian descent.
On September 8, 1942, Korematsu was convicted in federal court for violating the military orders issued under Executive Order 9066. He was then placed on a 5-year probation. For months after, he lived at the Tanforan Assembly Center in San Bruno, California, as seen in the photo. It was one of the former horse racing tracks where Japanese Americans were first held before being sent to permanent American concentration camps.
He believed his conviction went against freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution, and constantly appealed his case until he got to the U.S. Supreme Court. He lost his fight in December 1944 when the Supreme Court ruled that the government's actions were justified by the Army's claims that Japanese Americans were radio signaling enemy ships from shore and was caused because of Japanese Americans being more prone to disloyalty, rather than racism.
After Japanese Americans were released from concentration camps, Korematsu tried to resume his life as an American citizen and moved to Detroit, where his brother lived. Here, he met Catherine, a student at Wayne State University, who later became his wife. They married in Michigan, where mixed-race marriages were legal, in a time where it wasn't legal in other states, such as California and South Carolina, because of anti-miscegenation laws.
His U.S. Supreme Court conviction had a lasting impact on his basic rights, affecting his ability to get a job. In 1980, President Jimmy Carter created a special commission to review the facts and circumstances of the incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II. In June 1983, the Commission of Wartime Relocation and Internment of Civilians concluded that the U.S. prison camps for those of Japanese ancestry were a result of race prejudice, war hysteria, and a failure of political leadership. Because of this governmental misconduct, a legal team of pro bono attorneys were able to reopen Korematsu's case in 1983. During the litigation, the U.S. Justice Department offered a pardon to Korematsu if he would drop his lawsuit. However, he refused. Finally, on November 10, 1983, Judge Marilyn Hall Patel formally overturned Korematsu's conviction.
Korematsu remained a civil rights activist and became a member of a national coalition for redress and reparations. He lobbied in D.C. for the passage of a bill to grant an official apology from the government and a compensation of $20,000 to each surviving incarcerated Japanese American. On August 10, 1988, President Reagan signed the redress and reparations legislation into law. In 1998, President Bill Clinton awarded Korematsu the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. Fred Korematsu died of respiratory failure on March 30, 2005, when he was 86 years old. January 30th is now Fred Korematsu Day in California. His legacy continues to inspire people of all backgrounds and remind them of the importance of speaking up to fight injustice.